Coming up in this video, 10 things that you need to know if you're considering visiting the Mach Loop for the first time.
Again. Oh, look at that! Oh, that's coming in. Oh, there we go. Nice wave.
5 reasons why I still love visiting the Mach Loop, and on top of that, I'll offer you a few handy tips to make your visit to the Mach Loop run nice and smooth. And if you stay to the end of this video, I'll share with you something very interesting about all of the pictures I show in this video. It's that time of the year again when lots of families tend to gravitate towards the Mach Loop, expecting to have a fun day out. And a fun day out at the Mach Loop you definitely can have. But sometimes you definitely can't. And if you've never been to the Mach Loop, then trust me, this video is for you. Number 1 on our list is probably the reason why you want to visit the Mach Loop. And that's because you've seen lots of incredible video footage on social media and lots of amazing pictures that look like this. Well, even if you have a very busy day at the Mach Loop, which might well entail half a dozen aircraft flying through the loop, remember, aircraft fly through very quickly. So that means even on a busy day, 99.9% of your day is going to be spent doing this. I mean, can you imagine how boring a fishing program would be if you just watched a fisherman fishing for hours on end before catching a single fish? It could be really, really boring. Number 2 on our list, pretty much carrying on from number 1, there are no guarantees to ever see any aircraft at the Mach Loop. No matter what anybody tells you, there is never a guarantee that you will see aircraft at the Mach Loop. Even the most experienced of loopers will turn up and the day will be drawn blank very often. And that's a long time stood on top of possibly a windy mountain, just staring at the clouds. Next on our list is parking. Parking can be a real nightmare, and I mean a real headache. The experienced loopers, if they want to go to the Mach Loop during busy periods, they'll know that they have to be there for sometimes 7 o'clock in the morning, possibly even earlier, to secure a parking space. If you think that you can rock up at 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning and find a parking space, unless you're very, very lucky, it's not going to happen during very busy times or during the times when we know is likely to be busy, i.e. school holidays. So please, please bear that in mind. Next on our list, no matter where you go in the Mach Loop, if you want a good vantage point, it's going to contain a hike. Remember, you're walking up a mountain. I wouldn't recommend it if you're very unfit, and I certainly would suggest that you don't go anywhere near the place if you're medically unsound. There's no wheelchair access. If you are medically unfit to walk up a mountain, then of course you can just stay in the car at, let's say, Cad West's car park, and you'll get a fairly decent view of low aircraft. But of course at that point they'll be flying above your head. So it's very important to note that no matter where you go in the Mach Loop, if you want to go to one of these amazing vantage points where the main loopers go, it will always contain a hike. Next on the list, it's a very dangerous place to be, especially for kids and pets, for instance. You must remember you are on farmland and you are up a mountain, and some of these mountains are quite literally, especially at Cad East, if you want to venture up there, a fall to your death. Something that's very often overlooked, if you intend to go to the Mach Loop for the day, there are no toilets. Next, midges and ticks are abound, especially in the summer months. If you stand on top of a mountain when it's not windy and it's warm and it's moist up there, then there will be lots of mosquitoes around and lots of ticks in the grass. Be prepared. Number 8 on our list, of course, think of the elements. You've heard me say this a few times already in this video. You are up a mountain. There is no shelter from the wind, from the rain, from the sun, from the heat, from the cold. There is no respite from any of it. If you go up and the temperatures change, and we all know how quickly temperatures can change and weather conditions can change up mountains, just be prepared. Always be prepared. Number 9 on our list, and this might seem a bit of a strange one to bring up, but it's very important, especially if you intend to bring the family with you to the Mach Loop, or indeed if you have any emergencies whilst you're there. There is very limited phone signal up at the Mach Loop. In my opinion, EE seems to be the best. I can get 4G signal and it's fairly strong throughout the loop, but most people, if they're not on EE, struggle with a signal. Number 10 on our list, and this always puts a smile on my face. There is no such thing as a timetable for the Mach Loop. Yes, there is a timetable you can download from a government website, which contains times of aircraft flying in the Welsh area, but it has nothing to do with aircraft flying around the Mach Loop. Also, do yourself a massive favor and don't talk about the timetable to any loopers, and do not go onto any social media forums or like Facebook, for instance, and bring up or ask about the timetable, or you will just succumb to lots of abuse. So once again, there is no such thing as a timetable for the Mach Loop. So if you're thinking about heading to the Mach Loop, I'll give you some tips in a second. But first of all, let's just cover my 5 favorite reasons for why I continue to visit the Mach Loop. Number 1 on the list, well, this should be fairly self-explanatory. Whilst you are stood around doing nothing for hours and hours and hours on end, when an aircraft, especially a fast-moving jet or a big aircraft like an A400 or a Hercules flies through the Mach Loop, there is no better feeling. No better feeling. It's incredible. It's an incredible place to be, to witness that. Next on the list, well, seeing aircraft fly through the Mach Loop just never gets old. It's something you could probably never get bored of. But also, there's the chance that no matter how many times you visit the Mach Loop or over how many years, there's always that chance of something rare coming through the loop. Like this. Next on the list, well, it's just an incredible place to be. On the right day, in the right conditions, during the right lighting, there is no place better to be, especially with a camera in your hand. Another great point is meeting really nice, like-minded people, and there are lots of them there. Another great thing about going to the Mach Loop is that photographing fast-moving jets or slow-moving prop aircraft is really easy to photograph or film. I mean, it's amazing how many people actually go there and just film the aircraft flying through the Mach Loop on their phones. That is just literally point and click. And yet every time you do that, you'll create memories that you'll cherish forever. And last on the list, well, and this is a warning, if you go and there are lots of aircraft that fly through the Mach Loop, you'll be hooked forever. So just bear that in mind. Bear that in mind. How many people who play golf now probably thought they'd never play golf in their lives? And the one time they play golf and they have a good game, golf takes over their life. Right, next, let me throw 8 tips at you that hopefully will help you enjoy your day should you choose to go to the Mach Loop. Number 1 on our list, aircraft generally fly through the Mach Loop 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Generally, very often they'll fly earlier and very often they'll fly later. So just plan on going there Monday to Friday. Never go there on a UK bank holiday, and don't venture there on an American bank holiday as well. And I would also leave a day either side of a bank holiday. I would definitely suggest car sharing. If you come from different parts of the country, and there are a few of you, then there are plenty of laybys that you can leave your cars in. There are a couple just 1 or 2 miles down the road from Cross Foxes. So there's a pub called Cross Foxes that's right in the middle of the Mach Loop. If you look at that on Google Maps, and then go down the road a bit, a couple of miles or so, you'll see lots of fairly large laybys where you could arrange to meet, leave your cars there, and then travel up to the Mach Loop in one car. There is no worse sight, especially when car parking is at a premium, than lots of individuals turning up in their cars and taking up all of the spots unnecessarily. Next is always be prepared for whatever the weather chucks at you. Remember, you're standing on top of a mountain and you're going to be standing there probably for a very long time. There's a very good chance during the day or during your stay that the weather is likely to turn. All right, so just like a good Boy Scout or a Girl Guide, I think I might be showing my age there, always be prepared. Prepare yourself a nice lunch and make sure you take lots of fluid and sweets with you. I've already mentioned it earlier, but midge cream and sun cream, very important. Plan on arriving early and leaving late. Whilst most aircraft are likely to fly through between the hours of 9 and 5, I've very often seen aircraft flying through the Mach Loop well after 7 p.m. at night, and certainly before 9 o'clock in the morning. I know. I've been caught out a few times. If the reason you're going to the Mach Loop is because you're a keen photographer, I've created a video on how to photograph aviation, and I'll leave a link to that at the end of this video. If you want to know where the Mach Loop is and where to park and how to get to the best vantage points, then I've created a video on that as well, and I'll leave a link to that at the end of this video. And finally, please be aware, if you go to the Mach Loop, you will be on private land. Whilst public has access to it, that access could easily be pulled from under us. So just follow the country code and leave nothing but footprints.